Hi and welcome to Orbit. This is the Samsung Fold 5 and it looks very similar to the Fold 4. So is it worth it?
The top designers at Samsung sat there for a whole year and the result is what exactly? That the flash is no longer there, but it is there instead, which makes totally no difference at all to the user. Okay, there's one more new thing and I really like it. The Fold 5 finally closes flat. No more weird gap, and yet the device is still water resistant for 30 minutes at 1.5 meters depth and extremely robust. The glass is now twice as shatterproof and just as scratch resistant. This block of aluminium and glass feels high quality and is now 2.4 millimeters thinner and a bit lighter. An iPhone 14 Pro Max weighs only 13 grams less than the Fold 5, even though it is not a foldable mini tablet. At first the shape of the Fold is a bit unusual and strange, but you get used to it. It's a bit like a TV remote control. The outer screen is 6.2 inches in size and very narrow and long. It gets very bright, is reasonably sharp and has 120 Hz. You can use it fairly well with just one hand, but I find typing on the keyboard is difficult because it is so small. You can do pretty much everything on the outer display, but unfortunately it's a bit worse than a regular smartphone or the Pixel Fold. With the Pixel Fold, I often forgot that I could even flip it open because I was so happy with the outer display. With Samsung, it takes a maximum of 2 minutes until I open it up. The inner display is 7.6 inch in size, it has a nice resolution and fancy, thin, symmetrical bezels. It's almost a square and the selfie camera is invisible behind the display. If you look very closely, you can spot where it is located, but you will completely ignore it in everyday use. Samsung has increased the brightness, 1200 nits typical and 1750 nits peak, so the Fold is in no way inferior to the Galaxy S23 Ultra and shines much brighter than other foldable smartphones. The refresh rate is now adaptive, from 1 to 120 Hz, and the colors are pleasantly vibrant but not overdriven. Simply a great display, and although the aspect ratio is far from optimal for videos, I enjoyed watching some on it, which was also due to the great stereo speakers.
There are only two things that annoy me. First, this thing is almost always dirty because the screen does not clean itself, because it is not inside your pants pocket but inside of the phone, so you have to clean it once in a while with a cleaning cloth.
Second, the crease in the middle is still as noticeable as it has been for the past 5 years. I hoped that with the miracles of technology it will disappear one day. I mean, it rarely bothers me, but it's simply not pretty. Everything you do on this display is very smooth and quick thanks to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy. It's the fastest processor you can get right now. It has a 38% larger cooling system and 12 GB of RAM on the side. Storage is a minimum of 256 GB but a maximum of 1 TB, and in any case it's the new fast and efficient UFS 4.0 tech. Although Samsung software is quite extensive, everything runs like you would expect from such an expensive smartphone. I liked using two apps side by side, which is super relaxing thanks to the permanent dock that is displayed on the bottom. You can quickly switch between apps and drag and drop pictures back and forth. You can even use the S Pen to draw on the screen, and Samsung DeX is supported. That's a Windows-like desktop experience when you connect the Fold to a monitor. So it's a smartphone, a tablet and a computer all at once. All of this and the generally larger apps make the Fold an amazingly productive smartphone. Unlike the Pixel Fold, every app is full screen, and I think that's a good thing.
Someone that works with a smartphone will be very happy with this one.
And you can always put it on a table half folded for video calls, or because you're watching a video, or you want to take a photo with a self timer. The only question is, does the battery last a whole long productive day? The battery in the Fold 4 wasn't exactly big, and Samsung didn't make it any bigger. It fully relies on the fact that the processor is more efficient.
Well, I made it always through a whole day, but not quite more than that, because I had a screen on time of 4.5 hours. And a Galaxy S23 Ultra, for example, I had 6 to 7 hours of screen on time, so it's way better.
The Honor Magic V2 is much thinner and lighter than the Fold 5 and has a significantly larger battery. Also, Samsung still charges super slow. 25 watt was impressive in 2016, but not anymore. Wireless charging is supported. Let's finally talk about the camera. And there's no new sensor or lens. The camera is technically exactly the same as in the Fold 4. But again, the processor is supposed to make the difference. Okay, Let's see if that's true. Here's the Fold 4 next to the Fold 5. And again, and again. Honestly, even if I zoom in closely, they hardly give each other anything. Sometimes one is better than the other, sometimes the other one is better than the other. In general, I think that all photos look good at first glance, but when you take a closer look, you can see that the Fold 5 can't keep up with the latest and greatest high-end smartphones. Especially the ultra-wide angle is noisy in poor light. It does not have an autofocus or a macro mode. It is the worst of the free cameras, and it is no wonder since the sensor was already used in the Fold 2 and Galaxy Flip 1. Such cost-cutting measures are simply inappropriate for such an expensive smartphone. The zoom is a 3 times lossless and it looks great. I really like taking pictures with this field of view, but it's not as close as the Fold's 5 times lossless zoom. In general, I think the Pixel Fold has the better, more versatile camera. The selfie camera on the Fold 5 looks good, but the inside selfie camera does not look good at all. It's still poor quality.
Conclusion. I think Samsung is holding a record here. The record for the fewest changes between generations. It's so little that changed. It's only closing flat now and there's a new processor. That's it. And the Fold 4 is almost as good, but 700 euros cheaper. So I would definitely recommend that phone. Samsung has no competition outside of China and you can really feel it with this generation. So I hope the next generation has a better form factor, a larger battery and new cameras to keep up with the competition. That's it from me. See you on the next one. Bye.